Hey everyone, welcome to another video. If you love film or television content, please consider clicking that subscribe button because today I recently did my Christopher Nolan ranking with the release of Oppenheimer, and I thought, why not rank the filmography of Greta Gerwig as well due to the incredible release of her new film, Barbie. So let's get into it. I'll also let you know that a film that she did about 15 years ago called Nights and Weekends will not be on this list as it wasn't a solo directorial effort from her. And also, it is a real indie feature film. I think it cost like $15,000 to make. And due to that, it's practically impossible for me to find it. So that is why Nights and Weekends isn't on this list.
Go to City College. You know, with your work ethic, just go to City College and then to jail and then back to City College and then maybe you'd learn to pull yourself up and not expect everybody to do everything.
Here I have what is credited as her directorial debut, as it was her first time doing that in a solo effort. Lady Bird was a breakout film that instantly showcased her vision as a filmmaker and one that she has continued to build upon to this day. I think it's a solid movie. It definitely got a ton of praise, getting nominated at the Academy Awards for a number of categories. Once again, showcasing that she already has some kind of command of her craft already. She'd been working as an actress for quite some time, and it seems like a pretty natural transition into being a writer/director. And Lady Bird showcased that. It featured a pretty interesting coming of age story about that feeling that teenagers have of thinking that they know everything about everything and kind of critically misunderstanding what the world is actually like. The way that the film plays with that concept is pretty fascinating and interesting. I really like the performances. Saoirse Ronan is excellent. I quite like Lucas Hedges in this as well as Timothée Chalamet. They're all really great additions to this movie, and it is pretty well done for the most part. I think the only thing holding this back is that it kind of depends on where you're kind of at in life in terms of how much you connect with this film. I think if I watched this film while I was in high school, I probably would have connected with this a lot more than what I did when I first saw it. Due to where I was at in my life by the time I saw that film, not a lot of what it was presenting was something that really resonated with me in a really powerful sense like it did with so many other people. So I think if you're in that target demographic, this film really works for you, and I highly recommend you check it out if you're, at the end of high school and you're kind of figuring out what to do next in life. Lady Bird's a pretty good movie that just captures that time period really well.
Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken!
Number 2, we have Barbie. A pretty great film for the most part. I think that this film will be highly rewatchable in the future just due to its lighthearted nature, but that doesn't mean that it's not willing to explore some more serious themes, because it really does. This once again further showcases Greta Gerwig's vision as a filmmaker. She wants to tell female stories that have a pro-feminist message, and Barbie is no different. I think that came as a nasty shock for some people who really don't like that type of messaging in films, and they just saw a Warner Brothers produced Barbie movie and thought to check it out. This is definitely more of a Greta Gerwig movie than a Warner Brothers movie for sure. The vision is there, and I think that makes for a much more quality film. It's not just showcasing an IP to promote and sell a bunch of toys. It actually wants to tell an interesting story that is highly entertaining. The performances are incredible. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, I would love if they both got nominated for Academy Awards this year because they were just so entertaining. Ryan Gosling in particular is incredibly funny as Ken. I thought that he basically hit on every single joke that he needed to in one of just the most unique and just downright entertaining performances that I've seen in quite some time. The film moves at a pretty great pace. I think the only key issue that I have with it is that when we get to the third act, instead of cleverly incorporating these feminist themes into the story and making it work in a more natural sense, in a showing rather than telling us type of way, this just wants to spout the message that Greta Gerwig wants you to take away from this film. And I don't really like that in practically any film. I think it's a lazy way of communicating your message. And I understand that with this film, It's targeting a much more general audience, a much more broad demographic. So they might have trouble picking up on those themes if you were to just incorporate it naturally. But I think it's much more effective and creates a much more rewarding experience on a rewatch rather than just spouting the message directly to you. But other than that, this is a highly entertaining film. I think the message is great. I think the performances are excellent. The production design and costume design are on another level. I highly recommend this one as well. It's so easy to just chuck on and watch.
I intend to make my own way in the world.
No one makes their own way, least of all a woman. You'll need to marry well.
You are not married, aren't you?
Well, that's because I'm rich.
And here at number 1, I have Little Women, the second feature from her, and what I thought was an incredibly powerful film. You know, those criticisms that I had about Barbie in terms of its feminist message and the way that it communicates it, I think Little Women handles that so much more effectively. This is, once again, a very pro-feminist movie, but the way that it tackles it, I felt it was put into the story in a much more natural way, fit within the confines of the story. It was a lot more effective in just communicating it through the way that the story progresses. And of course, there are scenes where they are explaining their frustrations, but it makes sense within the context of the entire scene. The performances in this are phenomenal. Saoirse Ronan gives one of my favorite performances from her. Timothée Chalamet gives great supporting work, as well as Florence Pugh. I think the costume design and production design are great. I'm generally not a big fan of period pieces like this type of film, but this one just works in so many ways. I think it's quite easy to rewatch as well, because it's just friendly enough and light enough where it's just easy to chuck on. I really think that this is a highly entertaining movie that communicates so much and is so well crafted. So far, I think that this is Greta Gerwig's magnum opus, and I really cannot wait to see what she does in the future, because she clearly has a very exciting vision that is new and fresh and makes films that connect with a large demographic where films weren't made for them before. We never really got a whole ton of pro-feminist or pro-female-led films that are told from the perspective of a female in pretty much ever. Like, I really cannot think of a whole lot. There might be a couple scattered here and there, but they're really few and far between. And Greta Gerwig is someone that is consistently delivering these films. And Little Women, I think, is just a really great representation of what she's capable of as a filmmaker. There's also a really great use of color here. There are these faded colors, and then in a lot of the flashback sequences, it's very warm. It's just a nice way of communicating where the characters are at within the story. And it's a little bit subtle, but it's just a nice use of cinematography that enhances the film just so much more. Alexander Desplat also has a brilliant score that enhances the film so much more and creates just a wonderful experience overall. Overall, Greta Gerwig is an exciting filmmaker to watch. I really cannot wait to see what she does next. She has, I think, a really bright future after the release of Barbie. A lot of people are going to know her as a household name. And who knows, she might get a director's nomination here for Barbie, which would be really interesting to see. I think that it's a pretty uniquely directed film, so it'll be worthwhile. And whatever she does in the future, I think that she can only go up and up from here. I know she's got some Narnia movies that are coming out. That's going to be pretty interesting to see. I don't know how that's going to turn out. But you've seen that she's able to elevate something that might not have been considered a good film with Barbie. So if she can do something similar with Narnia, we could be in for a very interesting couple of films there. Anyway, let me know what you think of Greta Gerwig as a filmmaker in the comments below. Are you a fan of her style of filmmaking? Do you like this couple of films that she's made so far? And are you excited to see more of her films in the future? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.